Each year, Rainbow Mealworms is your one-stop shop for all your insect needs. Their quality feeders and A-plus customer service keep me coming back to support the health and growth of all of our animals. Visit them today at rainbowmealworms.net to place your order. I want to take this time to shout out Redline Shipping. They are the #1 fastest growing reptile and animal shipping company in the world right now, and that is for good reason. Use promo code GECKO5 today at checkout for an additional $5 off your shipping label. Hey, what's going on, everybody? Thank you for coming. My voice is a little bit faded out here. I was just laughing because I have a great wife. She is very supportive. So thank you, honey, for helping me with everything, basically. But welcome back, guys. We are finally back from Pomona. Oh, let me text Norman Davis because he's always trying to get into the live streams if possible. So I'm just going to send him that. But I hope you guys are doing well. We just got back from Pomona, which is in California, and it was a great time. I mean, we vended across from a couple of our friends. You know, there we were right next to Predator's Reptile Center, which, man, they got some nice stuff. They had a couple adult microlophus sailfin dragons, and oh my gosh, there is a big difference between the microlophus and the celebensis. We saw Chucky there, of course. Chucky's always running around, trading animals and just trying to hang out with people and have a good time. So good to see you there, Chucky. Nathan's Wildlife. You were there, right, Nathan? I think I'm texting you right now. I'm pretty sure you're the same Nathan that was there, right? But we I got the first person that asked me for an autograph, which was so cool. So thank you if you wind up watching this. But so we took some pictures with like some kids and some other fans and followers. But there was one person that asked for an autograph. That was humbling and really cool there. What's going on, Bam Bam? And now I have no voice, but it's all for a good cause. So, man, have we been busy around here lately? So I really apologize for like not being more on top of videos and live streams, but there is good news. I think we're going to start to be able to get back on track soon. We do right now, as of right now, we have 4 new team members that are working with us part time, and they're doing great, you know. And because of that, as long as sales stay up and all that kind of stuff, I'll be able to keep all 4 of them on and use them all to help in different areas of the business, including social media, and getting us up to date and caught up with, conversations with people, answering questions with people, and then making videos so that eventually we could get to like a vlog status where we're like, releasing vlog videos and stuff. But for now, I'm just going to try to get back to editing my videos. I have a bunch of videos that I need to edit and educational videos. But I think it's cool. The new people that are working here are hardworking, attentive, trustworthy, and I'm excited to introduce them also when the time comes. Um, and then, of course, we have, our existing workers that help us out, such as Chucky and Jonathan, and of course, Brooke, my wife. My parents were helping us out at the show this weekend, so that was really cool. I have 2 really good photos I'll send you of those sailfin dragons from Predators. Yeah, the microlophus sailfin dragons are more scaly. Like their scales are thicker and bigger than than any of the other sailfin dragons, and so much so to the point where it's very recognizable. So also let me know how my volume is, because if it's not exactly good, I can change it. um, but yeah, I just wanted to hang out, maybe update you guys on what's going on with us, say hi from, being back from the show and everything like that. There's Norman right there, Mr. Davis. Good to see you, Mr. Davis. Um, Best variation from Black Knight. If you mean like the best Black Knight combo that I've seen so far, I mean, it's tough to beat an all black gecko, right? Which is why my goal in working with Black Knight was just to produce as many Black Knights as I can for the first couple of years. because from there I can pivot and go any direction I want as far as Black Knight Bell. I really like Black Knight Bell. The Urban Gecko has some Black Knight Bell stuff. I like the Black Knight Lava stuff, you know, the Tremper Albino, Mandarin Tangerine, Blood Tangerine, Black Knight stuff. Do you have anything from the Freeze Project? Yes, Ashley. So we have about 70 geckos that we have from the reptile show that we just got back from. And probably like tomorrow, I'm going to try to take pictures of all 70 and upload them to our website as quickly as I can. Usually, I upload them to a album, like a catalog that people can look at before I even upload them to the website. But we do have a bunch of like freeze animals and some pretty good ones available right now. And so just try to text me. You know, my phone number is down here. That's usually the best way to try to get in contact with me right now is texting or calling that you want that animal. And I can get you the catalog ahead of time before I update my website kind of thing. Norman, I got to talk to you, man. We sold our first two Afghanicus Black Knight Generation 1s at this show. So I brought my prices way down on that. Like even the normal Black Knights, like we were listing Black Knights for like 2,000 last year, and now I'm listing them around like 700 to 1,200. You know, and that doesn't mean that they're going to fly off the shelves at that price, but I just mean like the whole market is kind of lower right now, and so even for the Afghanicus Black Knight stuff, I sold a couple this weekend for like $300 or $400, and two different people bought two off of me that were ovulating, and I haven't even bred any Generation 1s yet. So these two people could potentially beat me to Generation 2, if that makes sense, because the Generation 1, I don't have space to breed right now. So I'm working on like space to expand breeding them. Plus, I'm letting them grow up a little bit because I personally like when the females are bigger and the males are bigger. And that's typically 8 to 12 months old. You know what I mean? Leopard geckos can definitely breed at 5 to 6 months old, but I just think you're going to encounter a little bit more risk. There's a little bit more issue with that, you know. I saw a photo of the Black Knight that has black even on its belly. Is it real? Probably. Like a lot of Black Knights have some black going under the belly, and then you could just selectively breed that for more and more black. But getting back to your question, I think the Panda Project for Black Knight is going to be something to keep an eye on. The Lava Project, which is Tangerine, Tremper Albino, and Black Knight, is going to be something to keep an eye on. Black Knight Bell is going to be something to keep an eye on. Black Knight Cipher. I'm really hopeful for Black Knight Cipher. So as soon as I can, I'm going to start getting into Black Knight Cipher, you know. Are NDBE females sterile? So that's what people say. I've never tested it out myself, but if you were to go to Gecko Boa's website, it says that all females are sterile. And if you come across a female that's not, to message him so that he can update his page. But so far, he believes that they're all sterile. So I'm gonna do a test myself, you know, because we got some NDBE animals here. I don't know if I have any females, but I'll have to see. But yeah, I mean, I think for Black Knight, what else are people working on? Obviously, I got the Black Knight Afghanicus, which the goal of the Black Knight Afghanicus is to make a more consistently dark animal. Because right now, if you pair two Black Knights together, you're going to get animals that are, some are going to be dark, some are going to be lighter. But I think through the Afghanicus DNA, maybe we could manipulate that to make more consistent dark animals. So Atomic Clowns look insane. Think those are going to be popping off soon. Yeah, I mean, I think Clown is making a big comeback with the Joker project with Matt. You know what I mean? Clown is definitely one of those things that the thing with clown is they look amazing when they're younger, and then as soon as they, as they age, they lose that amazingness, and so even though they look good into adulthood, um, one of the things that I like to see in a project is like a look or a variation that stays into adulthood. And that's asking a lot for reptiles. But that is the cool thing about Black Knights is Black Knights will stay into adulthood. And even tangerines to a certain degree, they're going to fade out a little and stuff like that. But the thing with clown is the change is so dramatic that it looks like a completely different animal when it's an adult compared to tangerines where they might be less colorful as an adult, but it's pretty much still the same animal, like the way that it looked. I'm starting to see a lot of really nice purple heads. So purple head is pretty cool. My Black Knight Tangerine Tornado babies are looking pretty good as Gen 1. Yeah, I'm hopeful for Tangerine Black Knight. I think that that's going to be definitely a great project. There's really so much to look forward to with leopard geckos, honestly. Um, there really is. I mean, I even tried, I think I have a couple eggs, but I even tried like clown breeding into fasciolatus, like the freeze stuff just to see what would happen. The cool thing about leopard geckos is there's really infinite possibilities when it comes to what you can do because pattern can always be different and color can always be increased, or manipulated or broken apart. And so, especially with Cypher being so new, I think that's going to open the door for a lot of cool things to take place with red-eyed animals and tangerine animals and black-eyed animals and black knight animals. So if we could get like a Cypher that has all black eyes, a black body, and maybe a part down the middle where like a line that's clear and then the black pigment splits kind of thing, because you know how ciphers have that, they have that reverse stripe going down their back while they're younger and then it kind of fades when they get older, but we don't know, is it possible to, what's going to happen with Black Knight, so it was cool talking to you at the show. Did you end up selling that Black Knight with the brown on it? Yeah, so we were talking about that. Some Black Knights have like a rich chocolatey brown contrast to them. And really good to meet you too, Mr. R. Appreciate that. And that specific Black Knight did sell. The one that had the brown contrast on there. And I really like that, the black and brown contrast. But at the end of the day, one of my main goals with the Black Knight project is to get more consistently darker animals. But it's nice when we have byproducts, so to speak, or stuff that doesn't fit into the darkest spectrum and is kind of like somewhere in between, causing for some contrast. I really like that as well, especially the brown. I think I noticed the brown a little bit more with like the Blizzard, our Black Knight Blizzard stuff that we had going on, and maybe some of our Black Knight like Max Snow stuff as well. So, how many grams do you think the max weight that the female will be when full grown of that female Black Knight you held at the expo? I think that dark one that you're talking about, Nathan, I think she's going to get thicker and slightly chunkier, but probably not much longer. I mean, I think she's already like 5-6 months old, maybe older. And Black Knights, especially pure Black Knights or quote unquote pure Black Knights that are more inbred, they're on average, they're going to be darker. Not all the time, but on average, they're going to be darker, but they're also going to be smaller. And so that's why when people, we had that really, really dark girl for $1,200. And she was a decent size for a Black Knight. But then we had a girl that was not as dark, but still pretty dark for $1,000. And I was telling people, if you're going to breed, I would buy the $1,000 girl rather than the $1,200 girl. Because when it comes to producing black geckos, as long as you have a black knight that came from black knight lineage, um, whether it's pure lineage or whether it's 75% or crossed lineage, it has a lot of dark DNA inside of it. And if you just pair the right male to it or a good male to it, you're going to get pitch black babies. Some are going to be pitch black babies. And so picking a female that's super dark is not necessary, in my opinion, when it comes to breeding, or I should say, shouldn't not I shouldn't say shouldn't be the priority, but it doesn't need to be a priority. If you pick a female that comes from the same Black Knight lineage, has the same level of Black Knight lineage in it, like if they're both 75% Black Knights and one is pitch black and the other one is not as pitch black, but is bigger and more robust, I think the one that is going to be a better breeder for you and most likely get you more consistent babies and also produce pitch black babies for you is going to be the more robust girl, because she's going to get you more eggs over time than the super black girl. And remember, just because you have a super black knight does not mean you're automatically going to get super black babies. You know, we have a lot of black knights here, and I would probably say, you know, when you're breeding 75% or higher Black Knight genetics, you're probably still only going to get like 2 or 3 out of 10 that are on like the pitch black level. So it's still only like a 20, maybe 30% max that you're going to be hitting those pitch black babies, even from really dark parents and whatnot, you know? So that's why I would say prioritizing the females to be pitch black is not necessarily needed, but the male, I would definitely prioritize the male. And if the male is more, you know, robust and all that kind of stuff, then that'll be good. But it's not as necessary because he's not making the eggs, right? So, but most males tend to be, you know, more muscular and all that kind of stuff anyway. So yeah, if you can start working like giant Black Knight stuff, that would be good. You know, I know Denise is working on that. So I think that that's going to be something that's going to, you know, take off as time goes on as well. You know, I think everybody's been tied up in ball pythons and crested geckos for the last 3 years. You know, I think there's a good chance that like leopard geckos and even corn snakes, like corn snakes and milk snakes, are making a big comeback right now, as well as odd species, right? Just like off the wall species. Like I bought the crocodile geckos and I'm going to try to hype those up and build momentum for that because they are so cool. And then when I was at the reptile show and I was vending next to predators, predators had really, really awesome tokay geckos there, pied tokay geckos, albino tokay geckos. It was nuts. Like I was like, dang, I want to get into tokay geckos. And of course, we all know that they don't have the best attitude. But I think the more that we work with them, they can. Because like everybody told me in the past that Coleonyx geckos cannot be handled. But when I started working with Coleonyx geckos, within a couple of months, they're acting like a leopard gecko. You know, they're tame. And so I think if you just work with certain species and breed them in captivity, that's going to be the key to domesticating different species. Now, think of this real quick. Humanity has been breeding and domesticating dogs for how long? Thousands of years. We've been breeding and domesticating dogs. We've only been breeding and domesticating reptiles for like 50 years. So if you think about it, and I should take that back because back in the Egyptian days, they were, you know, using ball pythons as promo items for their political purposes and all that kind of stuff, right? And that's how they got their name. You know, Python regius, which means like royal or something like that. So they're technically called like the royal python. So, but reptiles as a whole, you know, at least in American culture, you know, if you want to look at just American culture, Americans have been domesticating dogs since the country established, but a few hundred years ago. But as far as reptiles, we've really only been domesticating reptiles for a couple decades. So what is possible for reptile domestication, we're barely scratching the surface of that yet. And I think that a lot of these more rare species are going to start to become more popular. So if you guys know who Herptime is, he is pioneering the interest of anoles right now. And anoles are another cool species that you can get into. There's so many different kinds of anoles that have different colors and different sizes. And one of them is even like waterproof. Like it goes underwater and its body gets engulfed in a bubble of air, and it can like breathe underwater for a few hours from that bubble of air. So like there's so many cool species to get into that I think that the common species, you know what I mean? They're going to stay popular, of course, but I think some of those species are going to start to come to the forefront. People are going to start to domesticate them. We're already seeing the domestication of tokay geckos, right? Reptiliatus, I think is his name. He's one of the people that is like pioneering. He's one of the people that's pioneering the movement, if you want to call it that, for domesticating tokay geckos. So, yeah, alligator lizards, Mark is right. Alligator lizards are another one. And the more that we're learning, the more that we know how to keep these animals alive and well. Sailfin dragons. Sailfin dragons are making a comeback right now. I probably told you guys this, but the reason that they were not imported for the longest time is because they would bash their faces in. But now we know how to prevent them from bashing their faces in. I got a little bit of footage from the show. I did like a little short footage from the show, but I didn't get to walk around and like video kind of thing. You know what I mean? So it's just too busy. It was just too busy, but hopefully in the future I would, because that would be awesome if I can get video footage in the future. Yeah, love reptile shows. I wish I could walk around more, but Euromastics, Clint's Reptiles also just did an episode on the chuckwalla. And apparently the chuckwalla makes an amazing pet reptile, you know? So yeah, I think the hobby, as the hobby grows, people are starting to get more intrigued with what is different. You know what I mean? What is not so common, not so popular, because people want a project to work on. You know, they want to start pioneering these other species that are not as popular and not as domesticated. We're learning a lot about monitor lizards and socializing them, through like Nerd and other companies that are teaching us about that. So how were your sales at the show? Schaumburg 2 was ago very slow. Yeah, I hope to get to other shows next year where I can actually like fly out to shows around the country kind of thing. And I always say this about every show, and I'm very fortunate, is our team members are very, very passionate about leopard geckos, and it shows. It really shows. And so actually I was just on the phone with a customer and a friend. I like to call all our customers friends because I encourage them to talk to us. But I was just on the phone with a friend and a customer right now that bought from us this weekend. And they went to every single, and we get this testimony a decent amount. And I can't take full credit for this because this is our team, but they went to every single leopard gecko vendor in the show and then came back to us because we were the friendliest, we were the most engaging, we had great quality animals, very knowledgeable was some of the feedback that I got from him. And so that's super honoring and humbling for me to hear. And somebody asked me last week, or I forget, I was talking about it with somebody about like, they were kind of saying the same thing. They were kind of saying how like when they talk to me, they could tell that I care. They could tell that I'm passionate about people and about the animals. Um, and I said, yeah, not everybody is um, not everybody is able to display their passion outwardly and communicate that well with others. But I'm very fortunate and thankful that as passionate as I am about these animals, it's almost second nature for me to do that. Like it's second nature for me to give my time to people and give my service to people and try to be upfront and honest with people and serve them after the sale. Like that's just so natural for me because I just care so much about the animals. I care so much about the relationships with the people and around the animals that the level of energy that it takes for me to do that, I can more easily do than somebody who doesn't have like that that type of passion to be able to complete that. I don't know if I'm explaining that right, but what I'm saying is I'm very fortunate that like in my head at least, the passion that I feel for these animals and for customer service just kind of gives me this, I don't know, I don't want to call it an energy boost, but it kind of just puts it in perspective like it's just natural. Like this is just what I do all day long. And so because of that, I think that along with our other team members that bring that same energy and bring that same passion, I think that really helps a lot. But also, I will say this: there's another aspect to this as well. Is you want to put a lot of thought into presentation. Um, Presentation to me is something that I would be doing even if it didn't pay off financially. I feel like presentation is something that I would be doing anyway. And so hear me out on this. When we first started vending, I could only afford one table to vend, and I didn't really have many animals or to sell or anything like that a few years back. And so when people would walk by our booth, even back then, I was trying to look presentable and catch people's attention with our booth. But it's much easier to do when you have a larger setup. And so now, the least amount of tables that I'm vending with now is 4 tables. And I also think that really helps. So I have 4 tables. I have orange tablecloths, which match our branding. It matches my favorite tangerine leopard geckos. It matches the tangerine leopard geckos we bring to the show. You know what I mean? Um, yeah, and if Bam Bam says you got to start somewhere. If you only have one table, um, do the best that you could do with that table. Use your branding. Try to be different than others if you can. As far as like your presentation is concerned, your display cases. Um, this is all in addition to your customer service, obviously. But if you have a banner, if you have animals on your table, if you have a display case, one thing that I did notice too that really helps a lot is if you have knickknacks and trinkets. If you have knickknacks and trinkets at your table, people really, really like that. And a ton of people will stop by for the knickknacks and trinkets. And so we have magnets, we have pins, we have hide kits. You know what I mean? We sell leopard gecko like starter kits and hide kits and shirts. And I have lights. Lighting is not the greatest at a show. So you want to invest in additional lighting. So will you be at the Reptile Super Show in January? Yes, I'm gonna plan that show January, July, and August. Yeah, we should be at all of those shows for sure. That's why I'm scared of investing in a clown because I've seen so many that end up looking like a normal gecko. Yeah, yeah, for sure. And people, um, when you are investing in a clown, if you get an older animal that looks better, that's going to be a little bit more of a indicator that the animal has really good genetics that's going to last. Because all young animals, even animals that are not clown, you know what I mean? Because there's a lot of really, really good looking animals out there that look similar to clown, but they're technically not from clown lineage. Matt did a really good job, when he started clown, he did a really good job of marketing a good looking animal. And nowadays, there's a lot of people that have really good looking animals. And, but maybe they're not as uh, passionate about marketing like Matt was. And so it's very tough for these really good looking animals to get off the ground and become a project and become a thing. Um, because the person doesn't really care to market them too much, whereas Matt did. And so, in all honesty, I set out on a journey to see if I could replicate the clown look on my own. And not only me, but other people have been successful at doing that. And so at the end of the day, clown is good, but it's just one line. Like if you want to have a good looking animal, you want to mix a variety of bloodlines and get animals that have high quality genetics from different bloodlines to try to attain the look that you're going for, not just clown. So like if your goal is to produce an animal that looks like clown, you should be buying, well, I shouldn't say you should because I don't want to project what I do onto others, but what I would do is I would get clown animals, um and then I would get other animals that are not from clown lineage but look like clowns, and I would breed those two together because now you're diversifying the genes, and something new could even pop up out of that. You know what I mean? And you're strengthening those bloodlines and you're still maintaining that look. So do you still have that Black Knight female you held? Yes, we still do. The $1,200 one, we still do. We still got that one. The Clown Inferno pair I got off you are doing so great, so beautiful, and eating well. Yay. So happy to hear that, Marissa. See, it's always like, to me, that's the funnest part of the hobby is engaging with others. And Rami said it best. He was on an interview with Trap Talk, and he said his favorite thing is seeing kids leave with a smile. And as corny as that sounds, I've always put my focus on new people, like new people coming into the hobby, because those are the people that are not like those are the people that are not jaded by politics, right? Because there's politics in every hobby and every place that you go, even in life, right? And politics always make you choose one side or the other. And if you don't choose the one side, the other side hates you, kind of thing, all of that, right? And there's a lot of politics in the world of reptiles. But when a new person is coming in to talk about leopard geckos, to see a leopard gecko, to hold a leopard gecko, they don't care about politics. They don't care about who is liked by who is hated by who. They are there for the pure intrigue of the reptile itself. And so that's why I do these live streams, and that's why I do the shows, and that's why I try to connect with people, is because that's really where my heart's passion is. And if you are trying to start a reptile business, I would encourage you to consider starting there, because it's very difficult to just buy in high, like buy expensive animals, and then expect people to buy those animals from you. That's really difficult because there's a lot of options for people to buy out there. And so, but if you can relate to people and build relationships and friendships, I think that's going to, help you out more as a hobbyist or a business. You'll also have more fun. You know what I mean? You know, sometimes I think about it. I'm like, okay, what if I just left social media altogether and just focused on my reptiles? You know what I mean? Obviously, that would be leaving the business side of things behind. And I just had a few pets for reptiles. Like, could I be happy with that? like leaving the social media side, the networking side, the relationship building side out of it, you know, would I be happy with just reptiles, you know? And the answer is yes. You know, at the end of the day, I think that's what helps me and my passion to drive forward is my passion at its core is from the reptiles. And then the deeper you get into reptiles, there's a lot of other distractions, you know. Ego becomes a distraction for people. Um, Obviously, finances become a distraction for people. You can get in over your head fairly easily in this hobby, especially when it comes to like snakes, because snakes eat rats and rats are expensive or very difficult to breed and expensive to maintain on a large scale. And so, you know, ball python breeders come in and they're like, "Oh, I'm going to buy 200 ball pythons." And they don't expect the food bill is going to cost $2,000 a month to feed those 200 ball pythons. You know what I mean? And so, like, people get in over their head and then they have nowhere to sell their animals. And then it becomes less about the joy of animals and it becomes more about them trying to keep their head above water financially. And that's a fine line, you know. I was there last year, you know, I was finding myself just trying to keep my head above water with the finances and the amount of animals that I was keeping and all that kind of stuff. So, you know, I had to make some changes, you know, bring on some team members to take some of that responsibility of the care of the animals off of myself. Um, be smarter with my money, not make impulse purchases, which I did really good not making impulse purchases until the sale fins came along. I was doing so good. And then the sale fins came, and then I was like, here's my money, you know? Um, but I think we're getting back to a good place again. So, you know, the expenses of a business can cause, you know, if you're not careful with that, it can rob you of some joy of working with the reptiles because you become so concerned about, you know, how you're going to pay the bills for the business and all that kind of stuff. So kids are the future of the hobby industry. Teach them to love reptiles and they will, yeah. And I think reptiles are becoming more mainstream right now too. So we're starting to see them, um I don't want to say on the news in a bad way, but we're starting to see them on public television more. I don't know if you guys know this, but Jay Brewer from Prehistoric Pets apparently has a show. I think it's called Royal Reptiles or something. Let me see if I can find this. So, somebody was just doing something on it the other day. But yeah, Royal Reptiles. Jay Brewer, Reptile Royalty. Okay, let me look at that. Reptile Royalty. Let me see if anybody has snipped video clips of it on YouTube. Yep, there's a lot of video clips of it on YouTube. So Reptile Royalty is kind of like becoming the new Steve Irwin, so to not the new Steve Irwin, but like a new style, like Steve Irwin-esque style to promote reptiles, you know? So how are things progressing for your move for October? Thank you for asking, Norman. We were on track, doing pretty well, and we're still on track right now, working with a commercial real estate agent to try to find us a place to rent. He was having difficulty within our neighborhoods, not neighborhoods, but like within the few cities around us. He was having difficulty finding a place that was okay with breeding reptiles. Because reptiles are technically a contamination risk to the air duct system and all that kind of stuff, you know. So if you're sharing a building with other businesses, they they might not want that, especially if you're breeding animals on a mass level. So now we're going to start reaching out from the initial cities that were close by, and I think we're going to start to find some stuff. Once you start getting into like kind of like lower income areas, they don't care as much about that. But higher income areas, like middle class or high class areas, they care a little bit more about like their air purity in their shops and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, we do need a standalone building for sure. I also got a quote for renovating my garage, which would be about $30,000 to renovate our garage and turn it into a Reptile extension. But that would only be 400 square feet because it's a 20-foot by 20-foot garage. And it would cost me $1,300 a month on a 0% interest plan to pay it off. So $1,300 a month to get 400 square feet. What I'm looking for is if I can find something to rent for 1,500 square feet and get, $1,500 a month. And if I could get 1,500 square feet, 3 times the amount of square feet, or even 1,000 square feet, I think that would be the better option for us to go with. So we have more space to expand into. So that's kind of what we're looking into right now. So yeah, that was part of my announcement is, what's going on with Geeky Gecko Creations. We're still looking for a place to expand. We have the 4 new team members that have started working with us. Very proud of those guys. They're doing a great job. The next big hurdle is consistency of revenue because, we make, I don't like to say like how much we make. There was a time in the past where I was like, yeah, why not tell people how much you make and stuff like that. But I do think that could be taken in a unprofessional way. And so like we do well at the shows. I'll say that we do financially well at the shows. We make profit and it gives me a couple months savings of, I don't want to call it rent, but expenses for the business, because expenses for the business right now without renting a place is about $1,500 a month. And that's going up right now because of the new team members we have, paying them. The biggest thing is mealworm cost. Mealworm cost is probably, if I had to guess, let's just say mealworm cost is $800 during the summer, because the summertime I have to do overnight shipping or the mealworms arrive dead. So mealworm cost during the summer is $1,000 a month. And then, yeah, we got to be over $1,500 of expenses a month, because mealworms is about $1,000 a month. The rat bill to take care of the rats is about $500 a month. Employees is about another, well, right now, honestly, employees is like $500 a week. And so we've been eating a lot of expenses. But that's what I mean by when we do a show, it gives me a couple months of expenses to not worry about. But what I really need to do is I need our online presence to sell well enough to cover our expenses. And we're kind of there. Like before we took on these new team members and stuff, we had one team member named Jacob, and Jacob was great. I love Jacob. He did a great job for us. And then, he just decided that it wasn't for him. So he wanted to leave and pursue other things, so I wish the best for him, and that's great. But I was relying on him for everything. And so when he left, like a few weeks ago, that's when I was like, okay, I need somebody now. You know what I mean? Like this business is not designed right now to be supported by just me, which is the scary part. So I put some advertisement out there, and like I didn't hear anything like day 1. And then day 2, my emails were like flooding in, like, and so I reached out to the first like 5 people. I reached out to the first 5 people, got them on the phone immediately, and tried to see their level of interest. And all 5 of them were genuinely interested. And right now, 4 of them are working on and off for us throughout the week on a consistent basis. If I can use the help from these 4 new team members to allow me to update our website and get more animals on the website. I think that will keep us on track for supporting the expenses of expansion. You know what I mean? As far as getting a building, consistent money between shows, all that kind of stuff. So, yeah, we want to get a warehouse, but the problem with the warehouse in Arizona is that they have swamp coolers, and swamp coolers fail sometimes, and swamp coolers don't work so well in the summer, and they don't heat up the building in the winter. And it would not control the temperature of the warehouse as good as we needed to. So the options that we're looking into right now are office space, retail space, or air conditioned warehouses. So like that's something that we are looking into right now is warehouses that have low ceilings and air conditioning instead of swamp coolers and high ceilings. But apparently through our real estate agent, that's not that easy to find in this area given what we're doing, you know. Um, we need potentially we need like our own dumpster or something like that because we're going to be, you know, dumping animal feces and all that kind of stuff. Um, we need our own ventilation system. You know, we need anything that uh, can be looked at as like contamination. We kind of need like a isolated space for that, you know. And even though leopard geckos are super clean for the most part, as far as animals go, you know, it's not like monkeys or mammals. You know, when you're breeding mammals and stuff like that, there's a lot more bacteria and all kinds of stuff that's floating around. But we'll see. You will see. So we're still looking into that. So I'm hopeful that we'll get moved out and everything by October though. Our leopard geckos we got from you are doing great. Thank you so much, Adam. That's always great to hear. I love to see pictures of the enclosures that people have. I'm saving everybody's pictures right now. And then one day when I have time, I'm going to upload it to our website. So there's like a photo gallery of just like customers' photos. I think that's going to be pretty cool. What else do I got on my list here? All right. So we're back from the show. We're sending in our temperature sex determined eggs to the Caltech students that are going to be working on, you know, the temperature sex determination of leopard geckos and seeing if that machinery can be proven to work 100% of the time to determine the temperature that an egg was incubating at. And if it can, then they're going to be studying eggs in the wild for conservation to see how global warming is affecting reptile eggs of certain species around the world. If you've been messaging us on social media, I really apologize. We're pretty behind on social media. But like I said, with our new team members, we should be able to get on top of that. I'm going to teach them how to edit videos. So they'll be able to edit videos as well, answer questions and inquiries, and just help with everything, you know? So that's kind of the next stages over the next couple weeks here. And then what I would like to do is have our website as a library of geckos. So people could just go on there and at any moment they could see like 100 or 200 geckos. I laugh because Kyle's like, you are behind. Yeah, I am. I got 2 NDBE tangerine females from you. One has produced a fertile egg, the other has not. Was it NDBE or was it het NDBE? Because het NDBE females should still be fertile. It's just the visual NDBE females. And to my knowledge, I've never sold any visual NDBE females, just possible het ones, you know. But still, that's, you know, that's great that you're able to update me with that. So, will you be breeding Microlophus? So right now, I only have Celebensis, unless some of the Celebensis that I imported turn out to be Microlophus. If some of them turn out to be Microlophus, which is possible, then yes, I will be breeding Microlophus. Actually, believe it or not, I was super satisfied with my Celebensis, but then when I saw those Microlophus, they have scales that are so big on the animal. They look like a true dragon. it kind of reinvigorated me to collect that subspecies of sailfin as well. My goal is to kind of maybe use apex cages to build out like sailfin dragon enclosures once we get to a new place. And then I want to have giant filtered water troughs for the sailfins so that I don't have to be changing out the water every other day, because that's a lot of work for sailfins. What's your biggest ball python project? Definitely the puzzle project. We have a lot of really nice puzzle stuff, even some for sale right now on our website. Yeah, so we'll be getting back to videos and vlogging again as soon as we can. We're getting caught up with the care of the animals is number one. So after Jacob left, we're getting caught up with that with our new team members now. Once that's caught up with, we'll be getting caught up with social media inquiries and videos and vlogs and all that stuff. We do have baby ball pythons. I got a bunch of baby blue-eyed Lucies, a bunch of baby bells today. We hatched 5 bells, blue-eyed Lucies, and 2 like lesser blackheads. And then we have high white red baby tegus that are going to be available. We got croc geckos that are available. And that is it for the updates. There was one more update, which is what I was doing before this live stream. I made a mistake. And technically, Home Depot, I don't want to say Home Depot is partly responsible, but I feel like they could be partly responsible in a way. And so they're supposed to be giving me a full refund for this. So I bought a giant appliance freezer, apparently. And I was talking to the guy in the sales department about using it as a refrigerator because I was under the impression that it was a refrigerator. I can't, the crocodile geckos are put away right now, but so anyway, long story short, it's not a refrigerator. And the guy that I was talking to at Home Depot about it was not even a sales rep. Like he was just a normal Home Depot employee. And then he told me to go buy it at customer service. And so like the whole process was just a little wonky. And they delivered it to the house. And you're supposed to like reject it right away if you don't want it. But I didn't know this until I plugged it in and the delivery guys left. And then a few hours later, I'm like, this thing is way too cold for mealworms and it's on the lowest setting. And turns out that it is just a freezer and not a refrigerator. And so I had to call their team and, bounce back and forth between a couple different departments. And they should be taking care of that for me. And I should be able to get my full money back and a refund and all of that. And then I'll be on the hunt for a standalone refrigerator, which I guess Home Depot does not sell. Home Depot does not sell a standalone refrigerator. They only sell the refrigerator freezers or just a freezer. If I want a standalone refrigerator, I'm going to do a little research, but I might have to get a commercial one. And commercial ones are pretty expensive. So now I'm kind of back to the drawing board as far as what refrigerator I want to get. So if any of you guys know anything about refrigerators, then we can do that. But let me see. I might be able to get I'm going to end it there. I'm going to get a crocodile gecko. I'll show you guys. And then we'll end the stream there. I'm going to go get it right now. All right. Let's see if I can show this off. So they're a little jumpy, of course, because they're probably wild. Uh-oh. All right, well, let's see if we can find it. All right, I see him. Now it's just about him not escaping. All right, we got them. So they are a little wiry, but they are really cool looking. Gecko was winning for a while there. All right, you want to see what their mouth looks like open? They're probably one of the coolest looking creatures, though. This camera's probably not the best. I think you guys, they're hard to like hold up, but let me see here. And I have been bit by, like, this one even bit me right now, but it doesn't really hurt. I would say though, the bite is pretty strong for a small gecko, but it's nowhere near, like, I've never been bit by a tokay, but the things that I've seen from tokay bites, it's nowhere near that, you know? But they have these really cool crocodile-like scalation on them. They truly look like a mix between a tokay gecko and like a crocodile, but they're kept dry, similar to leopard geckos. Like, I actually set them up. From the start. I set them up from the start like a leopard gecko. So these guys right now, they're set up like a leopard gecko. And then eventually I'm going to set them up in a little bit more arboreal setup. Do you want to see me get bit just so I can show you that it's not super bad? I will say this. One of them bit me the first night when I was setting them up. And it was kind of like tearing a little bit and like trying to move. And I was like, dang, dude, you got a pretty harsh bite on you there, but it still didn't really break the skin much or nothing. So I just think they're so cool looking. Like if you take a look at that texture, I almost want him to bite me because then he's not going to run away, you know? Yes, baby. I think if you worked with these guys in like the difficulty with working with these guys is that they can climb walls and they're pretty small and they blend into your carpet. So like my carpet is tan and this guy is tan, you know? So he is just not having it right now. But he's pretty cool though. I'm just kind of holding him lightly. You know, I also have this microphone in the way, so it kind of blocks my mobility a little bit. This guy is like a sub-adult. I would probably say this guy is 4 inches or so, and they could get up to like 7 inches or so. You know, there's a little bit better of a shot with me opening my hands a little bit. And this one has a regen tail, but the ones that don't have a regen tail, they look really cool. And I literally had this guy like pinned against the wall and he didn't even drop his tail. So I honestly don't think they're that bad. If you were able to have an enclosed area around you somehow and work with these guys, I think you'd be okay. Now I'm thinking, I bought these giant dog tents. They're used for like dogs outside. And that's what I opened these guys up in when I first unboxed them. And I opened them up in a small one, but I have a giant tent that that my body would fit inside. That would be a perfect training place for these guys until you got a handle on how they move and you can kind of control them because they are a little quick. I think that would be a perfect place to train them and kind of get them used to you as well, you know? So no pooing, no peeing, none of that. You want to see him open his mouth again? I don't know if you can see its eyes, but its eyes are absolutely insane. It's on my video that I have. I'm going to do like a long form video on these guys too. This camera is not the best camera, but crocodile geckos. Super rad. Super prehistoric looking. Wait. And if you don't mind it being a display pet, I think it would make like one of the coolest display pets. And they do come out to eat. Since they're insectivores and stuff like that, like when you throw insects in there, they're going to come out and eat. You know? So I'll put this guy back and then I don't know, he looks like some kind of Pokemon. Oh, there, you can kind of get a shot of his eyes right there. So we're selling these guys right now for $39.99 with our personal health guarantee, live arrival guarantee on it. You know what I mean? So when it comes to like, even though I bought these from an importer, so to speak, when I bought them, like there's really no health guarantee on them. It's kind of just like buy it and whatever. But when you work with me, I'm going to give you a health guarantee on it. And they didn't say if it was captive bred or not. So I am assuming that this is imported. But I bought 21 of these. And the biggest ones I'm keeping so that I can breed. And the coolest thing is there's a morph of these, but nobody has it that I know of. If this guy ever watches this video, it was pretty cool. His name is like Um, I don't remember his name. I think it was like Nathan or something. I'm talking to him in my DMs on Instagram. So I'm researching crocodile geckos, and this guy's video pops up of him catching a wild crocodile gecko in Texas. Now they're not from Texas. They're from Africa. They're from Africa and like Europe. Well, they probably started in Africa, then they invaded Europe with, with the pet trade and everything. And now they've invaded Texas. And the guy was holding a mutation of these. And I reached out to him and I said, "Hey, you have a mutation." So a normal crocodile gecko is like this grayish tan color and it has clear eyes. Yes, you can keep them in groups. They do well in groups. Um Man, he's so cool feeling. Like he's so cool. He feels so cool. Um so as you can see, it's a yellow eye with a black pupil and its skin is like a tannish grayish color, like the tubercles are kind of grayish. See, this guy's even calming down right now, just a little bit. I've been working with him. 5-gallon tank, um, or like an 8x8x12 vertical would be good enough to hold one of these guys. You know what I mean? I don't have any African fat tails right now. The guy caught a wild mutation of this in Texas. It was a yellow animal. So I'm thinking some kind of hypomelanism. So maybe like a hypo, or maybe even like a hyperxanthic, like an influx of yellow pigments. So it was either like a hyperxanthic, like more xanthophores, more yellow pigment, particularly, or it was some kind of hypo, which is like a reduction of black, and therefore it causes for a yellow color. So the animal that he caught in the wild was yellow. Like the thing was yellow, not like you know what is it? Not like a super bright like sunlight yellow. It was kind of more like the rainbow mealworms thing. And he took the video down. I got to ask him why he took the video down, but it was yellow and it had eclipse eyes. Guys, that was nuts. It had eclipse eyes. It had shaded eyes like an eclipse leopard gecko. So I messaged him. I said, "Hey, you got probably the only mutation I've ever seen of crocodile geckos, and I want to get it from you." And he said, "Well, I already released it into the wild." Well, first of all, he said, "Hey, I used to watch your videos." So he kind of knew who I was. It could be influenced by food, but I really think it was a mutation because not only was it yellow, it had the eclipse eyes. Its eyes were shaded black, like 75% black, just like an eclipse leopard gecko. And the guy in the video even said, he was like, "Oh, I don't normally see them this color. Normally they're like a grayish, purplish, tannish color. And this one is a really interesting color." Like he even said it. So I reached out to him on Instagram. I reached out to him on YouTube, and then he took the video down. So I was like, oh, he's probably one of the people that kind of doesn't like to mess with wildlife. And that's what he said to me when he responded to me. He was like, "Well, I released the animal already, and I typically don't like to mess with wildlife. I just like to let it do its thing." And I respect that and I understand that. But I told him, I was like, "Hey, if you're ever able to get me one of those, I would greatly appreciate it. And I would love to breed it and see if that mutation is recessive or dominant, because I definitely think with my breeder mentality, I definitely think that that's a mutation right there. And there's never been any recorded mutations of crocodile geckos so far that we know of. I've never heard of any. I just started getting into crocodile geckos. So we'll see. I think there's a couple other messages. Him and I were kind of talking back and forth. Maybe he'll tell me where he was herping. And one day when I'm in Texas, I can go down there and see if I can catch this elusive mutation of crocodile gecko. But how cool would that be? So one more shot right here of the crocodile gecko. It almost looks like a tokay gecko. It almost looks like a tokay gecko. It looks like an Arabian tokay gecko. And the fact that tokay geckos have mutations leads me to think that these guys can have mutations because they're very similar. So whenever I look at mutations of animals, you can kind of tell which animals are going to have what type of mutations. You know what I mean? So like, for example, crested geckos do not have albino. So therefore, other species that are similar to crested geckos would probably not have an albino form. For example, gargoyle geckos do not have albino. Leachianus geckos do not have albino. Yes, I don't think lychee geckos. No, they're just line bred for pink. They have pink coloration in lychees, but it's not albinism. It's line bredism. Chihuahua geckos do not have albino. So like there are just certain species that cannot or will not get a certain type of mutation. A matter of fact, I think crested geckos produce like an albino-like animal, like a leucistic animal. You know what I mean? Like no pigment on it or no black pigment or whatever the case is, and it dies, you know? Oh, sorry if my sound is cracking. But it was probably because I was rolling around with the gecko down there, but I'll see. Maybe I can get it fixed for next time. The mic is making me sound like an evil robot. That's funny. Darth Vader. Dun 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 dun. The crocodile gecko is here. Okay. So I'll just end it there since my microphone is kind of jotting out. Hold on one second. I'm gonna see if that works because that worked earlier. Yeah, the crocodile geckos, they're very cool, man. They're very, very cool. So I'll try to do a little research, see if these were captive born or wild caught. He's looking at me right now. But to me, it didn't matter. Because I love the look of these and I wanted to work with them. And even if they're wild caught, cool. Even if they're wild caught, I wanted to breed them. So I have about 10 of them that are kind of like this big, like getting close to breeder size. I'm going to keep the ones that are breeder size and I'm going to try to breed them. And then the smaller ones that are like, juveniles size, I'm going to sell those ones. And if people like them, if I can sell a constant supply of these, I'll stock them regularly because I really do like them. So he's just looking at me. It's so funny. Now he's looking at you guys. Hi, buddy. So there he is, crocodile gecko. I don't even know how this got on my radar. Like somebody, I forget how it got on my radar, but as soon as I saw it, I knew I had to have one because it just looks so cool. So I think I will end it there, guys. I hope that's okay. Home Depot was supposed to call me back and they never did, but I do need to get back. I need to talk to a couple customers from Pomona. Sometimes people have questions, as soon as they buy a gecko, just make sure everything's settling in well. So my plan right now is live streams on Monday. They're not arboreal, but they climb walls. So I guess you could say they are arboreal, but they're also terrestrial. Like they would be okay in either setup, in all honesty. Arboreal or terrestrial, you'll be okay. But if I had to choose one or the other, I would choose for them a arboreal setup that is dry and arid, similar to like a desert. Because if you look up videos of these guys, they're literally from like North Africa and like pretty dry places. So one day, yeah, that'll be the day. I will fly to Iraq and I will shoot a leopard geckos in the wild video. I get messaged by all these like people from Iran and stuff like that and Syria that have leopard geckos, and they're like, do you want to buy my gecko? And I'm like, no, but I would love to learn more about how they are. So an 18 by 18 by 18 would be perfect. you could probably keep like 10 of these guys in an 18 by 18 by 18, honestly. But if you just wanted one, that would be fine. Set it up with branches. You could use like a sand soil mixture on the bottom, or you could just do soil, put a humid hide in there. These guys love mealworms. They ate all their mealworms. And that's the cool thing, because I have a lot of mealworms from working with leopard geckos. So I can feed these guys just mealworms and they're perfectly fine, you know? Yeah, I tried to pick males and females. I'm still kind of learning how to tell the difference between a male and female, but I think I'm starting to get it. So I think it's similar to Coleonyx geckos. Coleonyx geckos make it really easy. The males have spurs that come out of their bulges, and females don't. And I think it's the same with these guys. So, like this one right now, if you take a look at this one, I know that looks like spurs, but it's not. Like the male spurs are more. Like I have some of these where I can see the spurs are more spiky and coming out of the bulging area there. So I just want to give this guy a kiss, but he's from Africa. I don't know what he's carrying with him. So no, I don't know if he's from Africa. Actually, I need to read. I need to talk to the importer. But cool, guys. Saturdays I'm going to try to use as like a hangout / guest night. And then Mondays I'm going to try to keep as my regular. So now that we're back from the show, now that we have our extra team members, my goal is to get back on track with the care of the animals, number one, which we're getting caught up with, and then social media. Get back on track with videos and consistency and all that kind of stuff. So thank you guys so much. I love you guys. I appreciate you guys. Norman Davis, everybody who stuck it out with us here to the end. I appreciate you guys. Check out Reptile Royalty with Jay Brewer, because that's putting reptiles on the map and making them continue to grow in the mainstream spotlight. So thank you guys. I will see you next time. And until then, have a geeky gecko. Great day. Peace.